tell us more about these new ideas and innovation that you brought to the team, considering one example, Lego as an example.
Cool. Um, okay, let me start from the beginning.
Yeah, okay.
Um, so I was double checking the Agile Manifesto this morning because I know I was going to talk with you.
Yes.
Turns out it's from 2001. I thought it was a little bit later, but it's 20 something years and still a lot of companies don't understand it. One of the key, it has like 4 main principles, but one is, let me actually just read it exactly. It says
Okay.
individual and interactions over processes and tools.
Yeah.
Working software over comprehensive documentation. We can discuss a little bit about that.
Yes,
Customer
absolutely.
collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. But the first part, individuals and interactions over processes and tools, is one that it really resonates with me, because when I started in computer science, I started because I was fascinated by computers. I love them. They are very easy. You tell them what to do and they do exactly what you tell them to. It's not like humans. Humans are very complicated. So I did computer science and I thought it was going to be about computers. And yes, computer science is about computers, but IT is about people.
Yeah.
And it's about these individuals and interactions that matter a lot. You have to work with other people. You don't work on a vacuum. And you have people that use your software. So you have to be aware of them. And you have to work, if the company is big enough, you have to work with people with other teams as well. So it ends up being a lot of people and interactions involved. So I think that is the key. As you progress higher in the engineering ranks from junior to senior to principal, you spend more time talking to people and less time working with computers. So that's one of my key principles of Agile.
True.
And the other one is that there's no perfect Agile process. It depends on the team, it depends on the project, it depends on the moment in time. So even the same team for different projects may have different best approaches to work with that. The same project with different teams may also have different approaches. And what was important to me is to iterate over whatever you have until you find the best match for the current situation of the team. And as the team evolves, this may change and you have to continually revise it. So that's my Agile approach to Agile, which it was in the original definition of Agile, but I think it's been lost in the waves of too many certifications and too much things being official and less about being flowing like water, like finding the best match.
Sure, Raul. And I also wanted to add, as you've just mentioned, all the beauty about individuals and interactions, and I think that's what we did really great in our team. And due to that reason, we were so collaborative. We were a cultural team, and that was one of the beauty about our team. And I think due to these doing things right and collaborating more helped us be more innovative and more creative and a fun team to be with, fun team to work with.
Being diverse is super important. I think having people from all aspects, all kinds of diversity, like gender diversity, sexual orientation diversity. In our case, was a lot of multicultural diversity from different countries.
Sure.
And as you mentioned at the beginning, as neurodiversity, by the way, full disclosure, I'm autistic. By the way, I'm very bad with social interactions, but I try my best. That's why I originally started with computers and I ended up talking to people. I find it challenging, but at least there is information about it. Anyway.
Bring that. And would you like to add some more light into your neurodiversity project? I remember even in Workday, there were a couple of events were organized where you spoke about neurodiversity. And I do recall you also run some projects for kids in parallel.
I used to run a code club for kids, which stopped at the beginning of the pandemic, and we haven't actually found the time to restart it, but it was a code club for actually autistic kids. They're brilliant. They're really good. But what I was going back, that all type of diversity is important. And in my case, in being autistic, I just see these things in a very different way, which doesn't make sense to me. Is the way the things I see them, but other people in the team may find that the perspective is radically different. And that's the beauty of diversity, of all of it, that you bring different perspectives. what you were mentioning about fun, one of the multiple things to make things more fun and more interesting was to bring Lego, as you can see. And you can use Lego for what is called Lego Serious Play to solve problems using Lego. And you can do anything from simple things like retrospectives and setting up team values to exploring different approaches to solve a problem. It's a technique for creative problem solving. It's not very different from design thinking, but it just uses a 3D Lego model as its core. It's very interesting and it's fun, and that's another thing. I don't know if you remember when I ran my own company for a few years when I was a contractor. The logo is a platypus, and it represents that it's fun. It's a fun animal. It's the mammal, but lays eggs, and it's venomous, but it lives underwater, and it has all sort of weirdness. Being fun is not the opposite of being professional.
Yeah,
being boring is the opposite of being fun. And the opposite of being professional is being unprofessional. Yes. So if you can be fun and professional, you got a win-win, because when you are having fun, you actually unlock certain areas of your brain for creativity, and you do much better work. And being fun is not the opposite of being professional.
Raul, for me, when I joined Workday, I realized that I'm a person who likes fun at workplace, and that makes me more innovative, creative, and I can share my real self with my colleagues and to bond more closely with my colleagues. So that is my way of working, my way of working style that I really love. That is working with diversity, with cultures, and bringing fun at the workplace, which helps team embed so closely with each other, and the environment becomes so enjoyable, whether we are working in the office in the same premises together or over the Zoom. It's a very different and a happy, innovative dynamic that we create.
Happy teams are more productive. Like it's one of the core values of Workday is to have fun and to put the people first. And it's obvious. Like when people are having fun and they are enjoying themselves, they are more productive. If people are having a bad day and they are not happy where they are, it's much harder for them to just be productive. And there's another part about being your own self to work. That's another of the core values. In my head, all these values make sense for everybody, and they are so obvious that I don't understand why more companies do it. But if you bring a culture of acceptance of diversity, you don't need to mask who you are when you are at the workplace. You can be yourself. Now, for normal people, that's not much of an effort, but for autistic people, pretending to not be autistic at the workplace is a massive drain of energy. And all the energy you put into that is energy you're not putting into doing your work. So by being able to bring yourself as it is to the workplace, not having to do any masking for anything, it allows you to put all this energy into being actually productive and being more comfortable as well, because you don't have to hide anything of, as I said, sexual orientation or whatever. No one actually minds. You just be yourself, and that is part of the team being a place where you can trust each other and that you can be confident. That makes a lot of a difference into how productive you actually are.
Sure, Raul. And only recently I shared, I think it was a 2 to 3 minutes video on DE&I. I recorded my own experience working with Workday, that before Workday, the companies that I work with, my experience was completely different. But the moment I joined Workday, I was my happiest self. And I couldn't realize what is this? Why, Sharul, it's so different here. And when I reflected back on the DE&I factor, the cultural factor was the element there. And also the servant leadership that Workday focuses a lot on, all the trainings that our senior leadership goes through, cultures in DE&I. These aspects, I think, make such a big difference in the culture that Workday has cultivated internally.
You touched in a very interesting point that this culture of acceptance and trust makes people feel comfortable at the workplace and safe, and then you don't have to hide anything. You can bring all your energy to be more productive and happier. So it's a win-win. Everybody wins. But this culture of acceptance doesn't come on itself out of the blue. And you mentioned this people leaders training, like in Workday they call the managers people leaders. I think that's a good term.
Right.
But what's really important is that they got a lot of training into how to be better managers and how to bring more acceptance. And they specifically teach people how to do that, because this doesn't happen by itself. You have to proactively take the steps to make it happen. And I think that is one of the key successes of Workday, how they actually train their managers to foster this culture. It's not easy. It's most of the times invisible, but you can see it happen. You cannot see how it waves together, but you can see it happening in the workplace.
Also, another thing now when we're talking about managers, people leader, another beauty that I find is about the 360-degree feedback culture, or as a part of the team, we give feedback for our servant leaders, and that feedback rotates, and we all are working towards enhancing and improving our processes. So that's one of the aspect in Workday that I really enjoyed, receiving the feedback from your peers, from your colleagues, and the feedback that we provide to our servant leaders.
That's another thing that doesn't come for free.
Yeah,
like you can ask people for feedback, you can give people feedback, but it doesn't come naturally. You have to go first. You have to lead by example, by asking for feedback, getting the feedback, the good and the bad, and acknowledge the feedback and thank for it. Then when people see someone else in a leadership position doing it, they will feel more comfortable on doing it. And showing people that feedback is good, whatever it is, because feedback is always a gift.
Yes.
They will start to be able to accept them themselves more freely. But you have to lead by example, and it has to come from leadership.
Sure.
How you are taking the feedback in, and how you are requesting the feedback, and how you are reacting to feedback. It's also something that there's training for it, and it doesn't come naturally, and it makes a lot of a difference in a culture of self-improvement, but also personally. Even if it's not something you do in your company, learning to ask for feedback and learning to take the feedback in, whatever it is a very valuable life lesson. You cannot tell something that something is bad, or if something is bad, you can tell why it's not working. That's already constructive. Even if you're telling them something is not working, if you're telling them why, it's giving opportunities to improve. Not just I don't like this is shit.